didn't want to talk about this, but there we go. Hello and welcome to the Blank Cover Network. I'm BCV Dom and today we are talking about action figures, in particular Marvel Legends and their Renew Your Vows Spider-Man 2-pack. So this Spider-Man 2-pack is part of the Spider-Man anniversary releases that have been announced throughout the year, and people have started to get this action figure in hand. And the reason why it's called Renew Your Vows is because it's inspired by the comic book series that Marvel released in 2015, which was a limited run called Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, and then it became an ongoing series which ran from 2016 to 2018. And the Renew Your Vows storyline takes place on Earth 18119, and in that reality, Mary Jane, featured right here, actually is a superhero, and that's why you have Spinneret. And with the arrival of this 2-pack, I'm hoping that means we're not far off getting Spiderling as an action figure, Annie Parker, the daughter of Peter and MJ. And there's no pros and cons list to do here in my review, which is normally what I do, because I really love both of these action figures. They're such great releases. So it's kind of just a pros list, which sounds very unprofessional. Thankfully, I'm not a professional. And also, like, okay, right, get this, I've been near the finishing line of creating a new top 10 action figures of the year released so far, but like a summer update to go after the one that I did a few months ago. And I've been filming it and working on it and editing it, and then this 2-pack arrives and I think, don't open it in case you really like them. But I did. I opened them and they're great. So now I have to reshoot and reshuffle that top 10 video that I was so close to finishing. That's just how it goes sometimes. So I didn't actually want to talk about this, but I guess here we go. These figures are just too good to ignore. So let's get them out of the packaging and have a better look at Spider-Man and Spinneret. And here they are, doing jazz hands for your entertainment. And to start with, if I was doing a pros and cons list, but it would be heavily weighted to the pros, let's talk pinless tech. Yeah, my favorite two buzzwords, pinless and tech. When you get them together, what do you get? Spider-Man and Spinneret. Spinneret is obviously on the Shriek body, which is the new buck that they're using as their sort of default female buck, and it works really well. And for Spider-Man, we finally have a pinless body for the entirety of his costume, which means you no longer have those red pegs poking through the blue costume. Plus, Spinneret is a new addition to the Marvel Legends family, right? Like, we didn't have Spinneret until now, to my knowledge, anyway, unless you did like a really cool custom using one of the old MJ heads. But here, we actually have Spinneret as part of your Marvel Legends collection, and I'm a sucker for new characters being introduced into Marvel Legends and being executed well. That last part is very important. Being made well, and Spinneret has been made very well. And maybe you missed out on the retro Gwen Stacy / Mary Jane mashup figure that came out in the first Spider-Man retro wave. Well, if you want MJ in your collection, have her as a superhero. Get this 2-pack and you get MJ as Spinneret. Spidey looks great. Like, this is such a good costume design inspired by the Renew Your Vows series from Marvel Comics, and it looks like it. I think it's a really comic accurate version of his costume. We've got some nice big eyes on the head sculpt of his masked head. There's a fantastic big blotchy red spider on the back, really classic, really retro. And then we have the black spider emblem on the webs, and I just think this costume has been so well replicated in action figure form here. The Renew Your Vows comic books are a really fun read, and this Spider-Man is really similar to the artwork in the Renew Your Vows series. The paint application on the figure has been so expertly done. The black outlines that you see around the spider emblem, on the eyes, across the webbing, and then the different dark blue against the red. I know that maybe a more classic or Silver Age Spider-Man might have a lighter blue shade, but the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, I think this dark blue is pretty accurate to what we got in the comics. Another big pro for this action figure that I haven't seen in a very long time is we have toe articulation. Right on the balls of the foot, you can move Spidey's toes, and that makes him super posable. One of my favorite Spider-Man figures in my vintage collection. And by vintage, I don't mean a retro style collection. I mean figures that are over a decade old. I have a classic Spider-Man that had that toe articulation. He still sits proudly on one of my shelves, and I don't think we've had any Spider-Man toe articulation since from Hasbro until now, and it just makes him even more posable for those low spider squat poses you might want to put this action figure in. Really lovely addition to a Spider-Man buck. And for both action figures, we have thwip hands, fist hands, and wall crawling hands. We're spoilt for choice. It's a nice array, and both of them have all three sets. Plus, we get unmasked alternate heads for both Spinneret and Spider-Man. And these alternate heads are gorgeous looking, especially the MJ. I think whoever sculpted that head sculpt, the maskless version, did a really good job. The hair is expertly different to the hair you get with the masked version of Spinneret. Quick question for you. What are the holes for on the back of Spinneret? In between her shoulder blades and along the spine, there are 2 holes, and I'm going to be posing her facing out, so it's not that big a deal. That's why I wouldn't put on the cons list. But I'm just curious what they're there for. Is that for like a flight stand for some posing? Or is that left over from what Shriek needed? If you do know, please do leave a comment below just to tell me, because I'd be really curious what those 2 holes are actually used for. Now let's talk quality control. Since Marvel Legends have started to move towards windowless packaging, I think I've either been really lucky or their quality control has gotten better, that most of the figures I've bought, these 2, Venom and Null, Jubilee and Wolverine, have all been really good when it comes to paint applications and the accessories. The only downside I've had so far is that I found Jubilee's legs, the knee joints in particular, to be a bit gummy and bowing. But that might just be the mold that's being used for her, I don't know. But otherwise, all of them, Wolverine included, have been excellent in terms of quality. Paint app, sculpt, accessories, all a big plus from me. Maybe I'm getting lucky, but I hope it's because their quality control is even tighter now that they're doing away with the plastic windows. And let's talk price. The pre-order price, or the price that you might be seeing it in stores or online, is about the same price as to build a figure Marvel Legends. And yes, you're not getting bath pieces with either of these figures, but you are getting 3 sets of hands each and the alternate maskless heads. So I think it's a fairly even trade for the increase in prices that Marvel Legends and Hasbro overall are doing this year. And if price of Marvel Legends is something that you're thinking about, especially as times are getting a little tighter, then check out my video here to find out when it is a good time to buy Marvel Legends to get the best deals. And so there you go. I really like Spinneret and Peter Parker. Thanks so much for watching. Please do hit that like button, and I'll be back with another video very soon.